The massive ship of the Zendari Confederation slipped into Earth's orbit silently. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built, its hull shimmering with a metal unknown to Earth science. Inside the ship, aliens moved with purpose, their four eyes blinking as they prepared for humanity's first contact with an alien species. "Orbital position secured," said Navigator Kriva, her voice a soft, clicking sound through the translator. "The humans have detected us just as planned." Chief Researcher Zilvex nodded, his tall, slender frame moving toward the main viewing screen. The blue-green planet filled the display, clouds swirling over continents and oceans. Zilvex had studied this world for years from afar, but seeing it up close made his heart race with excitement. After visiting over 1,000 worlds across the galaxy, Earth was something special. "Send the greeting message," Zilvex ordered. "Let us see how they respond." On Earth, chaos erupted when the alien ship appeared. News channels broadcast non-stop coverage. Government officials rushed to emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. But when the message came, a simple greeting in all Earth languages offering peaceful contact, the world leaders agreed to respond. Dr. Alan Frost paced nervously in the hallway of the Global Space Agency headquarters. At 45 years old, with gray streaking his brown hair, he was Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien biology. He never expected to use his knowledge on actual aliens. "Dr. Frost," a voice called out. He turned to see Commander Heather Mason approaching. Her uniform was crisp, her posture perfect, and her expression serious. "They're ready for us in the briefing room." Alan nodded and followed her. Inside, 12 people sat around a large table, representatives from major world governments and scientific organizations. General Peters stood at the head of the table. "As you know, an alien vessel entered our orbit 18 hours ago. They've requested a meeting with Earth representatives. After much discussion, we've selected 2 primary contacts." He looked directly at Alan and Heather. "Dr. Frost, Commander. Mason, you'll be humanity's face in this historic moment." Alan's mouth went dry. "Why me? I'm just a xenobiologist with theories." "Theories we now need," said the general, "and Commander Mason has the diplomatic and military experience we need. The meeting happens tomorrow at our new orbital station. Any questions?" The next day, Alan and Heather rode the shuttle to the orbital station. Both were quiet, lost in thought. As they approached the station, they could see the alien ship in the distance, enormous against the backdrop of Earth. "Are you scared?" Heather asked, breaking the silence. Alan smiled nervously. "Terrified, you?" "Same," she admitted. "But also curious." The station's docking bay was crowded with security personnel and scientists when they arrived. An hour later, a smaller alien craft approached and connected to the station. Everyone held their breath as the airlock cycled. When the door finally opened, 3 aliens stepped through. They were tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly in the light. Each had 4 eyes, 2 large ones where human eyes would be and 2 smaller ones set wider on their heads. Their fingers were long and delicate with an extra joint, and they walked with graceful movements. The alien in front stepped toward Alan and Heather, bowing slightly. "I am Chief Researcher Zilvex of the Zendari Confederation. We greet Earth with peaceful intentions and scientific curiosity." The translator device captured his clicks and whistles, converting them to smooth English. Alan and Heather introduced themselves, and soon they were seated in the station's conference room. "We have studied many worlds," Zilvex explained, "but yours is unique in ways that fascinate us." "What makes Earth special?" Alan asked. The alien scientist tilted his head. "Many things, but most interesting is you, humans. Our initial scans of your biology have raised questions about your evolutionary path." Alan leaned forward. "What kind of questions?" "In our studies across the galaxy, intelligent species follow certain patterns. But you..." Zilvex paused, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "You appear to have evolved without high-level predators hunting you. This is unusual." Heather frowned. "We had predators. Bears, large cats, wolves, Yes, said one of the other aliens, introducing herself as biologist Trenna. But these creatures did not specifically evolve to hunt humans as their primary prey. Most intelligent species we've encountered evolved while being constantly hunted by specialized predators. It shaped their development. Alan considered this. That's true. Humans became the apex predators in most environments. Precisely, said Zilvex. And this raises fascinating questions about your evolutionary psychology and capabilities. Over the next few hours, the aliens asked detailed questions about human history, biology, and behavior. They seemed particularly interested in human physical capabilities and endurance. As the meeting continued, Alan noticed the aliens exchanging looks when they thought no one was watching. Something about humans clearly bothered them. Would it be possible, Zilvex finally asked, to conduct more detailed biological studies? With volunteers, of course. What kind of studies? Heather asked cautiously. Nothing invasive, the alien assured her. Observational, mainly. We would like to better understand human physical capabilities and responses. The second meeting was arranged for the following week. This time, the humans would visit the alien ship. As Alan and Heather prepared to leave the station, Alan pulled her aside. Did you notice how they reacted when I mentioned our history of persistence hunting? Heather nodded. They seemed uncomfortable, almost afraid. I think, Alan said slowly, they're not just curious about us. I think something about humans worries them. Back on their ship, the aliens were having their own conversation. The data must be wrong, insisted Security Officer Mazrin. No species evolves intelligence alongside predatory capabilities. It defies evolutionary patterns. Zilvex shook his head. The data is clear. Humans developed intelligence not to escape predators, but to become better predators themselves. And then they turned those capabilities toward building civilization. But that means... Biologist Trenna couldn't finish her sentence. Yes, said Zilvex quietly. We have never encountered anything like them before, a species with the intelligence of a prey animal, but the instincts and capabilities of a predator. They all looked at the view screen showing Earth rotating below them. For the first time since arriving, the beauty of the blue planet was overshadowed by a new feeling, unease about the creatures who called it home. In his apartment on Earth, Alan Frost couldn't sleep. Something about the aliens' questions bothered him. They had focused so much on human physical capabilities, endurance, and tool use. Why would that matter so much to them? Unless... Alan sat up suddenly, a realization hitting him. What if the aliens themselves had evolved as prey animals? What if they came from worlds where intelligence developed as a defense against predators? If that was true, then humans, who evolved as predators that later developed intelligence, might be something entirely new to them, something potentially frightening. The realization made him uneasy about the upcoming visit to the alien ship. What would happen when the Zendari fully understood what humans were? Would scientific curiosity win out over instinctive fear? Or was humanity about to learn just how we appeared through alien eyes? The shuttle carrying Alan and Heather docked with the massive Zendari ship 3 days later. 4 other humans joined them. Jack Parker, a wildlife conservation expert, Dr. Lisa Grant, an anthropologist, Ben Martinez, a linguist, and security officer Rick Lawson. They floated through the airlock into artificial gravity that felt slightly lighter than Earth's. Zilvex greeted them personally. Welcome to the star vessel Horizon. We are honored by your presence. The humans gazed around in wonder. The ship's interior glowed with soft blue light. Curved walls flowed into arched doorways. Everything seemed designed to avoid sharp edges or corners. It's beautiful, Lisa whispered. Thank you, said Zilvex. We will show you to your quarters, then begin our discussions. The aliens had prepared rooms for the humans with furniture based on Earth designs. After settling in, the group met in a large circular chamber. More aliens joined them, each introduced as specialists in different fields. As agreed, Zilvex began, we wish to conduct observational studies of human capabilities. Would Willing to demonstrate some physical activities? The humans exchanged glances. What kind of activities? Heather asked. Simple movements. Running, lifting, climbing. Nothing dangerous, Zilvex assured them. They moved to a larger space converted into a testing area. Jack Parker went first, running on a treadmill while alien scientists monitored his vitals. Lisa Grant demonstrated basic climbing techniques on a wall they had constructed. Rick showed some simple fighting stances when asked. Throughout it all, Alan noticed the aliens whispering among themselves, their 4 eyes blinking rapidly when humans performed certain actions. Is something wrong? Alan finally asked. Biologist Trenina hesitated before answering. Your endurance is unexpected, and your movements are very efficient. Jack Parker laughed. I'm not even in great shape. You should see professional athletes. The aliens fell silent at this comment. That evening, the humans gathered in Alan's quarters to compare notes. They're scared of us, Lisa said bluntly. Did you notice how they backed away when Rick demonstrated that simple punch? Rick nodded. And they seemed shocked when Jack told them about marathon runners. I have a theory, Alan said. He explained his idea that the Zendari might have evolved as prey animals. Think about their ship design. No sharp corners, nothing that looks like it could be a weapon. Even their bodies, thin, fragile-looking with those wide-set eyes perfect for spotting danger from different directions. That would explain their interest in our physical abilities, said Heather. To them, we might look like predators. The next day, the aliens asked to show them videos of Earth. They watched nature documentaries, sports competitions, and historical footage. When they showed clips of human hunters pursuing animals across the African savanna, several aliens left the room. Is something wrong? Lisa asked the remaining aliens. Trenna's voice was quiet when she answered. Your people can run after prey until it collapses from exhaustion. This method of hunting is difficult for us to watch. Persistence hunting, Lisa explained. It's an ancient human technique. We're not the fastest animals, but we can outlast almost anything over long distances. Our bodies evolved to shed heat through sweating, allowing us to keep running when other animals must stop to cool down. The aliens' reaction was immediate. Their skin paled and they exchanged alarmed glances. Later that day, Jack Parker was asked to demonstrate how humans use tools. He showed simple techniques explaining how early humans crafted spears and arrows, with just sticks and stones, he said. Our ancestors could bring down animals many times their size. And this technology evolved quickly, asked one alien scientist. Incredibly fast, Jack confirmed. From simple stone tools to space travel in just a few thousand years. The aliens requested a meeting with just Zilvex and the ship's security chief, Mazrin, present. The room was cleared of recording devices at their request. We must be honest with you, Zilvex said, his voice solemn. Your species presents a puzzle to us. In our galactic survey of over 1,000 worlds with intelligent life, we have never encountered a species quite like humans. What makes us so different? Alan asked. Mazrin answered. Most intelligent species evolved intelligence as a defense against predators. Intelligence was a survival trait for the hunted, not the hunters. But humans, Zilvex continued, appear to have developed intelligence while already being effective predators. This combination is unprecedented. The room fell silent as the humans absorbed this information. Are you afraid of us? Heather finally asked directly. The aliens looked at each other before Zilvex answered. We are concerned. Your bodies are designed for pursuit and killing. Your hands can both create delicate technology and form weapons. You can throw objects with deadly accuracy, a skill almost no other species possesses. And yet, Mazrin added, you have built civilizations, created art, developed science. The contradiction is difficult for us to reconcile. That night, the human team met again to discuss what they'd learned. We need to show them we're not threats, Lisa insisted. Yes, we evolved as predators, but that's not all we are. I'm not sure that's possible, Rick argued. Did you see how they reacted to basic human capabilities? They're hardwired to fear predators. Alan was quieter than usual. I think we need to understand them better too. Their society, their evolution. There might be common ground we haven't found yet. The next morning, Alan requested access to the ship's database on Zendari biology and history. After some hesitation, the aliens agreed. What Alan discovered confirmed his suspicions. The Zendari homeworld had been filled with vicious predators. Their ancestors survived by hiding, running, and eventually outthinking their hunters. Intelligence had been their only defense. Their bodies remained fragile, but their minds had grown powerful. When he shared his findings with the team, Ben Martinez, the linguist, had an insight. That explains their language too. Notice how many words they have for hide, escape, and protect, but almost none for hunt or capture. On the 5th day aboard the alien ship, a junior researcher accidentally played footage of human military training. The aliens watching reacted with visible distress when they saw humans training with weapons. Word spread quickly through the ship. The mood changed. Some alien crew members now avoided the humans entirely. Others watched them constantly, as if expecting an attack. Zilvex called an emergency meeting with Alan and Heather. My crew is becoming anxious, he admitted. Many have never encountered a predator species with high intelligence before. We're not here to harm anyone. Heather insisted. I understand that, Zilvex said. But understanding does not always overcome instinct. We must address this situation before it worsens. As they spoke, an alert sounded. On a screen, they could see that an observation room had been sealed off, trapping 2 humans and 3 aliens. Inside. What's happening? Alan asked, alarmed. Zilvex checked the ship's systems. A malfunction. The emergency containment system has activated. But Alan didn't believe it was an accident. Someone on the ship wanted to see how humans would react when trapped with frightened aliens. Their investigation had entered a dangerous new phase. Alan, Heather, and Zilvex rushed to the sealed observation room. Through the transparent wall, they could see Lisa Grant and Ben Martinez trapped inside with 3 young Zendari researchers. The aliens were pressed against the far wall, their 4 eyes wide with fear. Override the lock, Zilvex ordered a nearby crew member. The system isn't responding, the alien technician replied, fingers moving quickly over the control panel. Inside the room, Lisa and Ben stood perfectly still, trying to appear non-threatening. Lisa was speaking softly, her hands open at her. Sides, what is she doing? Zilvex asked. De-escalation techniques, Alan explained. She's trying to calm the situation. Mazrin, the security chief, arrived with 2 guards. We need to break them out. No, Heather said firmly. Look. Inside, Lisa had sat down on the floor, making herself smaller. Ben followed her lead. Slowly, the tension in the room eased. One of the young aliens, bolder than the others, moved a few steps closer to the humans. They're talking, Alan observed. After 15 minutes, a technician finally overrode the lock. When the door slid open, they found the humans and aliens sitting in a circle, engaged in conversation. What happened? Zilvex demanded. The boldest young alien, who introduced herself as Researcher Kelmy, answered. I apologize, Chief Researcher. We were curious about the humans. We wanted to observe them in a controlled situation. You locked yourselves in with them? Mazrin was shocked. We needed to understand, another young researcher explained. The data didn't make sense. A species that evolved as predators but behaves with compassion. We had to see for ourselves. Lisa stood up slowly. We had a good conversation. They asked about human social structures, how we resolve conflicts. Zilvex dismissed the young researchers with a stern warning. Later, he called a meeting of the Zendari Council, inviting the human team to attend. The council chamber was a large oval room with raised seating for 12 senior Zendari. In the center stood a holographic projector. The humans were given seats. To one side. Esteemed Council, Zilvex began. Our research expedition has reached a critical juncture. The humans represent a unique case in our galactic survey. An older Zendari with faded blue skin leaned forward. Explain, Chief Researcher. Council Member Trazor, I present evidence suggesting humans are unlike any species we've encountered across 1,082 surveyed worlds. The holographic projector activated. showing images of various alien species alongside humans. Most intelligent species, Zilvex continued, evolved from prey animals. Intelligence developed as a survival mechanism against predators. The pattern is consistent across the galaxy. Images changed to show human evolution, from early primates to modern humans. Humans, however, evolved as pursuit predators who later developed intelligence. This combination is unprecedented and challenges our understanding of evolutionary development. Murmurs spread through the council. Trazor raised a hand for silence. What are the implications? He asked. Another council member spoke up. If they combine predatory instincts with high intelligence, they could be dangerous to the Confederation. Alan whispered to Heather. This is getting out of hand. Zilvex continued his presentation. Humans possess remarkable physical abilities. They can pursue prey over long distances. Their throwing accuracy is unmatched among known species. Their bodies can adapt to extreme environments. The council looked increasingly disturbed. One member spoke directly to the humans. Your species hunts for sport even when not hungry. Is this true? Jack Parker answered carefully. Some humans do hunt as recreation, yes, but most follow strict ethical guidelines about hunting. And warfare? Another council member asked. Our preliminary research indicates your history is filled with conflict. Before the humans could respond, the doors to the chamber opened. Security Officer Mazarin entered, followed by several guards escorting a junior researcher who looked terrified. Forgive the interruption, Mazarin said. But researcher Vextil has discovered something the council should see immediately. Thilapo, trembling researcher, approached the holographic projector. During my cultural analysis, I accessed human historical archives. I found this. The display changed to show footage of human warfare throughout history. Medieval battles, World War trenches, modern military exercises. The council chamber erupted in alarm. Several members rose from their seats, backing away from the display. Enough, Trazor commanded. The images disappeared. The room fell silent. The humans exchanged worried glances. You created weapons specifically to kill your own kind, one council member finally said. Why? Dr. Lisa Grant stepped forward. Human history includes conflict, yes, but also cooperation, peace efforts, and growing unity. We've learned from our mistakes. Can a predator truly change its nature? Asked an older council member. We must consider containment protocols, another suggested. If humans ever expanded beyond their solar system, that's not necessary, Heather interrupted, her voice firm. Humans aren't a threat to you. Trazor studied her. Commander Mason, your very role is military. You are trained for combat. For defense, she clarified. And most humans will never serve in any military. We're scientists, artists, teachers, healers, not just warriors. The council deliberated in their own language. Finally, Trazor addressed Zilvex. The council requires more information before reaching any conclusion. We request a demonstration of human capabilities. Security Officer Rick Lawson was asked to demonstrate human combat techniques. He hesitated, looking at Heather for guidance. Nothing. Dangerous, she instructed. Basic forms only. Rick moved to the center of the chamber. He demonstrated simple martial arts movements, blocks, stances, and controlled strikes. These are defensive techniques, he explained, meant to protect, not harm. The council watched with unease when Rick demonstrated how humans could use everyday objects as improvised weapons. Several members gasped. This confirms our concerns, one council member said. They can weaponize their environment. Alan stepped forward. You're misunderstanding what makes humans unique. Yes, we evolved, with certain physical capabilities, but we also developed empathy, cooperation, and moral reasoning. Zilvex looked thoughtful. Perhaps there is another perspective we should consider. He approached the holographic projector and changed the display. Now it showed humans rescuing animals from danger, providing medical care to the injured, and protecting endangered species. Humans use their intelligence and physical abilities for protection as well as hunting, Zilvex explained. They can be predators but choose to be protectors. The council fell silent considering this new information. The youngest council member spoke up. I propose we continue our research before making any judgment. Trazor nodded slowly. Agreed, but with caution. The humans will remain aboard our vessel for further study. As the meeting ended, Alan pulled Heather aside. This isn't going well. They see us as monsters. Not all of them, Heather replied, nodding toward Zilvex, who was speaking quietly with Trazor. I think Zilvex is starting to understand us. But the others? Alan watched as the council members left, some still casting fearful glances at the humans. We need to change their minds, Heather said firmly. Show them what humanity is really about. That night, Alan couldn't sleep. The weight of representing humanity to these aliens felt enormous. The Zendari saw humans as dangerous predators. But how could he prove otherwise? How could he show them that humans had evolved beyond their predatory origins? The answer came to him suddenly. He needed to show them not just what humans were capable of doing, but what they chose not to do. The true measure of humanity wasn't in their physical abilities, but in their restraint, their compassion, and their capacity for growth. With new resolve, Alan began planning how to show the Zendari Council the full truth about humanity, even the parts that might terrify them even more. Word about the humans spread quickly through the Zendari ship. Crew members whispered in hallways. Some requested transfers to different sections to avoid contact with the Earth visitors. Others watched the humans from a distance, studying their every move with a mixture of fear and fascination. Alan noticed the change immediately. They're afraid of us now, he told the human team during their morning meeting. We need to fix this before it gets worse. How? Rick asked. We can't change what we are. Lisa shook her head. But we can change how they see us. The team decided to split up and interact more with the crew. Jack Parker joined the ship's environmental specialists, sharing his knowledge of Earth's ecosystems. Lisa worked with the cultural researchers. Ben spent time with the linguistics team, learning the complex Zendari language. Alan sought out Zilvex, finding him in the research lab. Chief Researcher, we need to talk, Alan said. Zilvex looked up from his work. Dr. Frost, I was reviewing the council's concerns. Your people are avoiding us, Alan said directly. Some seem terrified. Can you blame them? Zilvex replied. For species that evolved as prey, meeting predators triggers deep instincts. But we're not just predators, Alan insisted. That's what I want to show you. Alan suggested bringing more human specialists aboard, people who could show different aspects of humanity. Zilvex hesitated but finally agreed. 3 days later, a second shuttle arrived carrying Dr. Eric Summers, a historian, Grace Wilson, a medical doctor, and Paul Garcia, an artist. Dr. Summers was immediately asked to address the growing concerns about human warfare. He met with a group of anxious Zendari officials in a large lecture hall. Yes, humans have fought wars, Dr. Summers acknowledged, but we've also worked tirelessly for peace. Each generation has become less violent than the last. We've built global organizations dedicated to preventing conflict. But your capacity for violence remains, one alien pointed out. Capacity doesn't equal intent, Dr. Summers replied. Humans are defined not by what we can do, but by what we choose to do. Meanwhile, Grace Wilson set up a small medical clinic, offering to examine any crew members with minor ailments. At first few came, but word spread of her gentle manner and healing skills. Soon she had a steady stream of patients curious about human medicine. Paul Garcia created art in public spaces, inviting Zendari to join him. His beautiful paintings of Earth landscapes drew many observers. When he taught young Zendari how to use brushes and paint, something unexpected happened. They began to relax around him. Despite these efforts, tension remained. One evening, Alan overheard 2 security officers talking in their language. Thanks to Ben's lessons, he understood enough to know they were discussing containment protocols for humans. Alan reported this to Heather. They're considering us a threat that needs to be contained. We need to speak with Trazor directly, Heather decided. Before they could request a meeting, an incident occurred that made things worse. During a routine ship maintenance check, the lights in one section suddenly failed. When emergency lighting came on, 3 Zendari crew members found themselves in a darkened corridor with Rick Lawson. They panicked, certain the human would attack in the darkness. When the lights returned minutes later, the Zendari security team found the crew members huddled together while Rick stood calmly against the wall, hands visible, talking softly to keep them calm. No one was hurt, but the story spread with a frightening, new detail. Humans could see better in darkness than Zendari. The fact that Rick had remained composed while the aliens panicked only reinforced their view that humans were natural predators. Mazrin, the security chief, requested an emergency meeting with Heather. "This situation is becoming difficult," Mazrin said when they met. "My people are increasingly anxious about humans aboard our vessel." "We've done nothing threatening," Heather pointed out. "Your very nature is perceived as threatening," Mazrin replied. "And now we discover you can hunt in darkness as well." "We weren't hunting anyone. Rick was just standing there." Mazrin's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "You don't understand. For most galactic species, being prey is their evolutionary heritage. Fear of predators is written into their biology." Later that day, the human team gathered to discuss this latest development. "They're mapping human space exploration," Ben reported, "having seen data screens in the linguistics lab. They're calculating how far we might expand, what systems we might reach." "They see us as a future threat," Alan realized. "Not just individuals, but our entire species." That evening, Dr. Summers gave a presentation on human history to interested Zendari. He spoke of human achievements in art, science, and medicine. He emphasized how humans had moved beyond tribal conflicts to form global communities. During the question period, a Zendari researcher asked, "If humans are so peaceful now, why do you still maintain military forces?" "For protection," Dr. Summers explained. "The same reason you have security personnel on this ship." "Protection from what?" the alien pressed. "You said yourself that humans have no natural predators on Earth." The question hung in the air. "Doctor," Summers answered carefully, "from ourselves sometimes, we're still learning and growing as a species." His honest answer caused murmurs among the audience. The next morning, 3 crew members were found hiding in a storage compartment. They had been secretly observing the humans for days, recording their movements and conversations. "This is getting out of hand," Heather told Zilvex. "Your people are spying on us now?" "They're afraid," Zilvex admitted. "The Council is receiving requests to end this contact mission early." "Because we're predators?" Alan asked in frustration. "Because you're unpredictable," Zilvex corrected. "Intelligent predators with moral codes that limit your predatory nature. It's a combination we've never encountered. Some find it reassuring, others find it more terrifying. If you can choose not to hunt, you can also choose to hunt." That night, the ship's systems detected an unauthorized transmission to Earth. Security traced it to Paul Garcia, the artist. He had been sending messages about the Zendari, including details of their technology. When confronted, Paul explained he was simply sharing cultural observations with fellow artists. But the damage was done. Many Zendari saw this as proof that humans couldn't be trusted. The Council ordered increased security around the human quarters. The cultural exchange was suspended. The atmosphere on the ship grew tense and cold. "They're going to send us back to Earth," Ben predicted. "And then what? Will they decide Earth is too dangerous to contact again?" Alan thought about everything they had learned about the Zendari. Their evolutionary history as prey animals, their highly developed social structures focused on mutual protection, their fear of predator species. "We need to show them something they've never seen before," Alan said slowly. "A predator species that has evolved beyond predation, not by denying our nature, but by transforming it." "How do we do that?" Heather asked. Before Alan could answer, an alarm blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. The ship's AI announced in multiple languages, "Medical emergency in Laboratory 7. All personnel clear the area." That's where Grace was working today, Lisa said, her face pale with worry. The human team rushed toward the laboratory only to be stopped by security barriers. Through the transparent walls, they could see Grace Wilson kneeling beside a fallen Zendari scientist, performing emergency medical procedures. The sight of a human, a predator, working desperately to save an alien's life would change everything. But whether it would ease the Zendari's fears or confirm them remained to be seen. The humans watched anxiously as Grace Wilson worked to save the injured Zendari scientist. Through the transparent barrier, they could see her performing emergency procedures with steady hands. 3 Zendari medical staff stood nearby, unsure whether to help or stay back. "What happened?" Alan asked a trembling Zendari technician who stood beside them. "Laboratory accident," the technician explained. "Researcher Velpax was exposed to a chemical reaction. The human doctor was there when it happened." Inside the lab, Grace called out instructions to the Zendari medical team. After initial hesitation, they began assisting her. Minutes passed like hours as the humans watched the life-saving efforts. Finally, the emergency light stopped flashing. The lab doors opened and Grace emerged, looking tired but relieved. "Velpax will recover," she announced. "The exposure wasn't as severe as we feared." The Zendari medical chief approached Grace slowly. "Your quick action saved Velpax's life. How did you know what to do? That chemical is not found on your world." "I didn't know the chemical," Grace explained. "But I recognized the symptoms of respiratory distress. The treatment principles are similar across species." News of Grace's actions spread through the ship faster than the earlier fearful rumors had. Crew members who had avoided the humans now watched them with new curiosity. Some even approached to express gratitude. Zilvex requested an immediate meeting with the human team and senior Zendari staff. "What happened today changes things," Zilvex began when they gathered. "Dr. Wilson acted instinctively to protect one of our own." "Of course she did," Alan said. "She's a doctor. That's what humans do. We protect those in need." An older Zendari scientist named Jevtor spoke up. "In our evolutionary history, predators never protect prey. They certainly don't risk themselves to save other species. This behavior contradicts everything we understood about predator psychology." "Because you're not seeing the full picture," Alan explained. "Humans evolved beyond simple predator instincts. We developed complex social structures based on cooperation and protection." The next day, Trazer himself visited the human quarters. The council leader studied the humans with his 4 eyes, his expression unreadable. "The council wishes to understand something fundamental about humans," Trazer said. "If your species evolved as predators with no natural enemies hunting you, why did you develop such strong protective instincts toward others?" Dr. Eric Summers answered, "Precisely because we became the dominant species. When no external threat existed, we became responsible for our environment instead. Our strength created an obligation to protect." Trazer considered this. "You became protectors because you were powerful enough that nothing else could be." "In simple terms, yes," Eric nodded. "Our predatory evolution gave us the capability to protect as well as harm." This insight seemed to affect Trazer deeply. He requested a series of new presentations, not about human capabilities, but about human conservation efforts, medical achievements, and peacekeeping missions. Over the next few days, the humans showed the Zendari how people work to protect endangered species on Earth, how medical teams rushed to disaster zones, and how peacekeepers stood between hostile forces. Jack Parker presented data about human conservation efforts across Earth. "We've set aside millions of acres as protected lands," he explained. "Species that were nearly extinct are now recovering because of human intervention." Lisa showed footage of disaster relief teams. "When earthquakes or floods strike, humans rush toward danger, not away from it. We risk our lives to save strangers." The Zendari watched these presentations with growing understanding. After each one, more crew members approached the humans with questions. The fear was being replaced by something new: respect. One evening, Zilvex invited Alan to the ship's observation deck. They stood together, looking out at the stars and the blue-green Earth below. We made a fundamental error in our assessment of humans, Zilvex admitted. We saw only the predator aspect of your evolution, not how it transformed into something else. What do you see now? Alan asked. A species that turned the drive to hunt into a drive to protect, Zilvex said. Your predatory past gave you strength, endurance, and determination. But you channel these traits toward guardianship now. It is remarkable. The Zendari Council called a special session, inviting all the humans to attend. The chamber was filled with crew members and researchers, the atmosphere very different from the tense earlier meeting. Trazor addressed the assembly. Our contact mission with Earth has revealed something unprecedented. The humans represent an evolutionary path we had not thought possible, predators who became protectors. A holographic display activated, showing images of human rescue workers, doctors, conservationists, and peacekeepers. Throughout the galaxy, Trazor continued, intelligent species evolved as prey animals, developing intelligence to escape predators. Their societies focused on defense and hiding. Humans evolved differently. Their intelligence developed alongside predatory capabilities, creating a species that could have dominated through fear and violence. The display changed to show human history, the wars and conflicts, but also the peace treaties, humanitarian efforts, and global cooperation. Yet despite their capacity for violence, humans chose another path. They used their strength primarily to protect their families, their communities, other species, even their planet itself. Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. The Galactic Council proposes a new classification for Earth, Trazor announced. Not as a threat to be contained, but as a guardian world, a rare evolution of predator to protector. The Council voted unanimously to approve this classification. A treaty of friendship and cooperation between Earth and the Zendari Confederation was drafted, focusing on cultural exchange and scientific collaboration. As the formal proceedings ended, a small Zendari child approached Security Officer Rick Lawson. The aliens had brought their families aboard once they felt humans were safe. Is it true you can see in the dark? The child asked hesitantly. Rick smiled and knelt down to the child's level. Not perfectly, but better than your people can. Would you like me to tell you about it? Soon Rick was surrounded by Zendari children, all asking questions about Earth and humans. The adults watched with amazement as their children showed no fear of this human predator. On their final day aboard the Zendari ship, the humans gathered their belongings, preparing to return to Earth. The diplomatic mission had succeeded, beyond all expectations. What will your report say? Alan asked Zilvex as they said goodbye. That we encountered a species unlike any other, Zilvex replied. One that evolved as predators but chose to become guardians instead. A species that still carries the capabilities that made their ancestors feared hunters, but uses those same traits to protect rather than harm. And is that still terrifying? Alan asked with a smile. Not terrifying, Zilvex said. Inspiring. As the human shuttle departed the Zendari ship, Alan looked back at the massive vessel. He thought about how their initial fear of humans as predators had transformed into respect for humans as protectors. The true answer to why no creatures hunted humans wasn't just that humans had become too dangerous to hunt. It was that humans had become the protectors of their world instead of merely its most successful predators. They had transformed their predatory nature into something new, a fierce drive to guard, preserve, and nurture. And that transformation, more than their physical capabilities, was what truly made humans unique in the galaxy.